all right. So I'm trying. I know these are like from Batman v Superman, but it's from Batman. And I thought, give me a break, all right? I'm trying, okay? I'm trying to set the mood, if you will. But yeah, I want to talk about Batman v Superman. And first and foremost, I have to say that it's the Ultimate Edition. There's no other version of this film. I saw the other kind of version of this film that doesn't exist. And now I understand why the critics sort of hated it. Not sort of, they hated it. So, this is Man of Steel. I'm mixed on it. And this is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think I'm gonna talk about those two in another video. But this motherfucker is Batman v Superman. So what is there to say? Well, there's a lot of cool things about the film. First of all, Ben Affleck is Batman. It's a perfect Batman. I'm a big fan of Robert Pattinson's Batman. But there's something about Ben Affleck Batman. He's so big, so brooding, he's so big. Which you see in the cartoons a lot, or the fucking, what's it called, comic books. And he's a really good Bruce Wayne. It's like I say with Robert Pattinson. He's so fucking warm now, oh Jesus. It's like in the Batman, it feels like him being Batman isn't like in Batman Begins. It's not like a complex sort of, well, it is complex, but it's sort of like a curse that is Batman. Sort of like he doesn't have any other way of dealing with his parents' death. He's mentally unhealthy. He doesn't know how to deal with his parents' death, so he dresses up like a bat. That's not a healthy person, and that's what I love about Batman. And that's sort of what I thought they kind of fucked up with Batman Begins. He was too sane, too aware of things. He could sit down and talk about his feelings. Batman, in my mind, would never do that. And Batman from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, I feel the same way. The interesting part, the angle they take, that is older and people are afraid of him. The cool scene when the cops are going into this whatever, and these Vietnamese or whatever girls are like inside this fucking prison. I don't know if it's a prison, but you know, there's some gate. And the cops are about to open the gate, but they don't want to. And they say some sort of thing like he's still here or whatever. And they see, you can see, we see the Batman, their Batman, up on the wall, like crawling there like fucking a bat. And it's so cool, it's such a cool introduction. The Superman thing, the criticism of Superman, I sort of get with Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is edited like it's too, not confusing, but it's jumping a lot. And I hate sort of how Pa Kent dies in Man of Steel. But here it's sort of you understand, I feel like you understand Zack Snyder's vision a whole lot more. And that's why I'm sort of buying Henry Cavill as Superman in this film. I like Henry Cavill as Superman, that's what I'm saying. It would be interesting to see the dark brooding Batman against more hopeful Superman. I'll say that. But it's Zack Snyder. And I remember like seeing this. I'd seen it before, but I remember seeing this film while in the midst of seeing a lot of Marvel films. And I saw this and I thought, fuck, this is way more interesting than any MCU film. It looks really great, it looks good cinematography, it has wonderful visuals, it tackles themes that Marvel MCU films would never tackle. The cinematography in the MCU films are so bad. I don't like it. It's so grey and dull, and it should be more colorful. Anyway, so I saw this film and I thought, like, it's mixed. But comparatively to the other MCU films that are like overall better, but they don't go as high as Batman v Superman does. I've told people that I 30% love it, 30% hate it. No, I don't hate it. I think it's 30% boring and 40% whatever, fuck it. I don't remember what I used to say to people. But the point is, I love parts of this film, and parts I don't love. Like, okay, so Lex Luthor, you know, that's the controversial part, one of them. I kind of buy it. I would like Lex Luthor to be more like he is in Superman from last year, 2025. I would like him to be more like that, of course, but it's not. He is not. It's part of Zack Snyder's vision, and it doesn't work. But if you like, if you kind of like shrug like this, and say, okay, he's going for it. You can say whatever you want. Jesse Eisenberg is really going for it. And Wonder Woman, her introduction is all right. Yeah, it's beautiful, a beautiful woman. But here's the thing: her introduction as Wonder Woman is in the third act, and I hate the third act. Kind of like Man of Steel, but I sort of hate third act of this one more, because they're just fighting a CGI monster, and I know it's Doomsday, and I know his canon is part of the comic books. I know. But it's so, the action is so, like, it's just things happening in front of you, and you just, they were onto something really interesting, but the third act is just a mess, and I don't want to see this, so every time I watch it, when the third act comes, I'm sitting with my phone, because I'm missing nothing. But, you know, okay, so the film is about Batman versus Superman. Does that fight work? With Batman with his armor and everything, with his gun with the fucking kryptonite gas or whatever? Yes. That is pretty cool. That is really cool. And I'm a defender of, what did you say that name? What did you say that name? I'm a defender of that. But there's some sort of, like, I think, when Superman says, you must save Martha, I think it would have worked more if he said, you must save Martha Kent. Like, he's giving Batman her name, like, so he can find her. That makes a lot more sense if he says, you must save Martha Kent. But he says Martha, and it's like, why would he say that? Why would he say Martha? Why wouldn't he say my mom or whatever? So should have said his whole name. And but I'm a defender of that. Again, it comes down to Batman, Bruce Wayne not tackling his parents' death, and he's really unstable, but he pretends he's not, which I love. And then you have the fight after with Batman, and he fights these people. When they hold the hostage, Martha Kent hostage. That is pretty fucking awesome. That's like the highs, you know. And Amy Adams, I have a thing for her. She's hot, and I have a thing for journalists, women journalists. Watching CNN, I'm like, right? So, but she does an alright job. I think she works much better as Lois Lane in Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, because she's actually doing something. She's not just there. You sort of in Man of Steel, it's like, oh, okay, they kiss now, all right. But here you see the relationship, but it works. I think it works more. Yeah, here's the thing. The big negative for me about the film, the big negative, which I think sort of Zack Snyder tend to have a problem with, and it's most visible, most noticeable in this one, even though it's the Ultimate Edition, and that's the pacing. I said like that the fight between Batman and Superman itself is awesome, but it sort of comes like, oh, they're fighting now. I know they're building up, but it's the pacing that's off. So I remember watching it for the first time and I was like, oh, they're fighting now. Oh, okay. It doesn't have that build-up. And I know Bruce Wayne is training and everything. That's cool. But this is how Zack Snyder works. He is really good at certain scenes. So if you watch it on YouTube, it's like, that's a cool scene, right? But setting them, like, putting the whole film together, I am not so sure. That's not his talent. So I think the pacing is off. Even though it's much better in the Ultimate Edition, it sort of feels like there's just scenes one after another. Pacing wise, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, much better. This is a good movie. I watched it many. It's 4 hours long, but it feels like it's 3 hours. But this is, I like, and maybe I love this one. But Batman v Superman is sort of more interesting to talk about because it's not perfect. The best film from Zack Snyder, that is Dawn of the Dead, and that was written by James Gunn. And the pacing in that film is, the pacing in Dawn of the Dead 2004 is wonderful. And I think that has a lot to do with James Gunn. And when Zack Snyder starts, when he is involved in the writing, I think the pacing tends to be off. Like the fucking terrible film, The Army of the Dead. Oh, I was so hyped about that film because of Dawn of the Dead. I thought it was in the same universe. Oh, why don't they make a sequel to Dawn of the Dead already, right? But that film was so over the place. And I haven't seen the Netflix films, the two-parters. Rebel Moon. Haven't seen that. Everybody hated it, so why should I watch it, And Watchmen is really good, so for me it's Dawn of the Dead, Watchmen, the direct. So Zack Snyder is best when he can thrive in longer movies, when Justice League can be 4 hours long, and the ultimate edition of Watchmen with the cartoon with Gerard Butler and everything in the film, which I have on 4K. I think it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah, the film can breathe, And then it's Justice League, I think. Also like Watchmen, the film can breathe, and everybody has an arc. And but I'll talk about them in a later note or later video. So that's and also Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL. Great. Hans Zimmer is always good. Junkie XL did the music in Mad Max Fury Road, and he loves the drums. I gotta say, the music in this one was great too. And that's just Junkie XL. But Hans Zimmer in this one, I think it's one of his lesser compositions, music-wise. I think it's one of his lesser, and the Superman theme never worked for me. The Batman theme in this one is awesome, really awesome. And I think tonally, this works much more than this. So the Superman music works more in this one. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm sweating like